Hi, my name is Alicia and welcome to Mess to Master. Today we are talking about art therapy and I am super excited to have a guest with me today, my dear friend Ella.
Hello.
She will be joining us and she is working on her own piece of art as we speak. And so as we are talking about art, we're going to get to see her masterpiece at the end. So good luck, Ella. Let's see what you can come up with. So, art therapy has become one of my favorite things in life, and I am not the most artistic person. I didn't really like art as a kid, except for the fact of getting messy and getting paint all over me. That was probably the most fun. But recently, I have found art to be a huge outlet for me, and especially one of the things that I love most about art is that there's all different ways to express. And so we saw Ella's going to be painting today. So you can use paints like this, paint pens like these are some of my favorite, especially like the Sharpie brand. You can paint on like wood or glass or anything really and make all kinds of fun designs. And sometimes it's the most simple things that just give it an extra spunk. So that's fun. Also pencils. I've kind of sounds silly, but I have recently turned to pencils and paper, which is a basic thing. But that is a really great way. It's very simple, and so you don't need much for art. So you can also use markers and things like that, or acrylic paints, or you can have all kinds of fun with different art supplies, but you can also use the basics too. And so that's what I'm going to be showing you pictures of today. So what in the world is art therapy to begin with? What I use, or what I consider to be art therapy, it's a way to cope with emotions. So for example, the past several weeks I've been in the process of moving, and that has been a very, very stressful process just because of my disabilities and trying to pack up everything and go to a new place. It could be very stressful, even though I was excited about moving. But there was several days that I found myself that I was just had so much energy or so much anxiety. And so I was able to pick up a piece of paper and a pen, pick up a piece of paper and a pencil and go to town and just drawing all kinds of things. And sometimes they had meaning, which I'm going to show you, and sometimes they didn't. It might be just a blob. But it was allowed me to get some of that emotion out. Even when I'm angry or sad, those are some of the best times that I've found to draw. It doesn't take much thought process, so I love to write, and so especially as I'm losing my vision, writing has become really taxing for me. But right now, drawing has been much simpler, and so that's what I've been doing a lot more of. That brings up my second point. It's awesome because drawing is so adaptive with your disabilities. So no matter what kind of disability that you may have, or if you don't have any at all, it's really adaptive. So because I can't use my whole left side of my body, I'm able to use other parts of my body, just like my right hand. And so that is helpful. I've also seen people that put pencils in their mouth if they're not able to use any limbs, which is really cool. And so there's a lot of ways that you can do art therapy. And I always, if I'm painting, I can set things up so that I don't make a mess ahead of time. There's so many ways that you can adapt. And it's also adaptive to the space. Sometimes we have a lot of space and I can stretch out everything across my kitchen table and go to town and, have fun painting, or drawing even. But there's other times that I'm in a chair or in my bed and I have a lot less space. So I found this handy dandy clipboard to be one of my best friends. And so that's been huge because that can pack up and go with me anywhere. And even in the move, as before we were unpacking all the boxes, I was able to have that, my clipboard already with me. So again, drawing is simple, but art in general is just such a great way to get our emotions out. So also, as I share with you these pictures, we've also been using art as a as part of my counseling, and this explains my trauma counseling before and different pieces of what I'm learning, but it's become a huge part of our counseling, and it's allowed me to get certain memories and flashbacks that I had stored in my brain out on paper. And when they were on paper, then I'm able to better process them with my counselor. But also, it almost pulled that memory wheel out of my brain. And so I don't have to continue to have those recurring flashbacks like I did. Of course, that doesn't work with everyone, but for me, it was really helpful. So here are just a couple of my drawings. Again, I'm not super artistic at all, not trying to show off, but just giving you examples of what you can do. So one of the things that I found first was one of my to find a peaceful place. And so this is one of the second or third drawings that I drew. Just a peaceful scene. That brings me just calm. It helps my body calm down when I see that. Another thing that you can do, like I mentioned with the counseling, this is a picture that I drew in counseling as my therapist was having me talk and share different memories. This is what came, and you can see it's a lot of blob, but there is some meaning behind it, but it's a lot of just blobs and scribbles basically. So you can do things like that. That got, surprisingly, that got a ton of anger out. And emotion. After that picture was done, I just sat and cried. And so sometimes that taking off that layer of stress by drawing, that then helps us to begin processing that information. Also, you can put meaning behind your art or about what you're learning. A lot of the times I've been doing what I'm learning in scripture and able to apply it to what I have, or putting it into action on paper and expressing what knowledge that I'm learning. So this is one that I drew last week. Now it's hard to see because of the camera flip, but it just says, throw off your old sinful way of life. Instead, let the Spirit renew your thoughts and attitudes. Put on your new nature, created to be like God, truly righteous and holy. From Ephesians 4. And you can see, so this is supposed to be a picture of a girl or person looking in the mirror, and we see ourselves, ugly, not typically how we even look, but we want to become more like Jesus. And so that picture of the person on your right, it shows that how we are wanting to become like in God's image. And that's my desire, and I pray that that's your desire too, as we live in this world and we allow God to take our messes and turn them into masterpieces. And so it's really cool that this drawing component that has recently come up in my life just fuels the original theme of this YouTube channel and my blog. So if you haven't checked out my blog too, I'm going to go ahead and put a plug for that. AliciaScroggins.com. It's always in the comment section, but you want to be sure to check out that as well. So I think that we are now to the point that we are ready to see what our dear friend Ella has created. So let me turn the camera. Oh, how beautiful, Ella. So she used lots of different colors. She had some acrylic paints going on over there.
Yeah.
So what did you think about your art therapy, Ella?
I don't know. I thought just put colors together.
Yeah, so it doesn't have to be complicated. You see it can be something simple. And she had a piece of wood that we had gotten it for $1 at Walmart. So it can be cheap. Again, it doesn't have to be super expensive. You don't have to go out and buy a $100 art kit and all these fancy art supplies. You can just use what you have. Piece of paper, pencil, and have some fun.